It's sweater weather here in Happy Valley. The leaves are falling, and by the time everybody gets home from work, the sun is setting. We're doing a lot more cooking indoors these days. Today, I'm making a meal that's going to bring the bold, fresh flavors of summer onto my family's dinner table during the brisk fall and the cold winter. A hot and hearty Jamaican shrimp curry with steamed jasmine rice. Let's get started. I always start my rice first, and I like to use my electric rice steamer because it does all the work while I prep my ingredients. I already have 3 cups of rice in here. I'm adding a 4th, and I'm using jasmine rice. It's a long-grained, almost perfumey, beautifully flavored rice. And now I'm going to add 4 cups of water, and it's not 4 standard cups of water. When you're using a rice cooker, it's important to realize that the same cup you measure the rice in is the same cup you measure the water in. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 4. That's no coincidence. I did that on purpose. I'm going to give my rice a brief stir, close the lid, turn my steamer on, and in about 20 minutes, the rice is going to be perfectly cooked. It's important to know that Jamaican curry is different than Indian curry. Jamaican curry contains allspice. Indian curry does not. Indian curry contains mace and cardamom. Jamaican curry does not. This makes Jamaican curry really fragrant, and it makes Indian curry really earthy. If you're a lover of fragrant spice, you are going to love Jamaican style curry powder. And I've got 3 tablespoons of it in this little bowl with a teaspoon of ginger, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of sea salt, and a pinch of habanero pepper. In Jamaica, they would typically use a Scotch bonnet pepper, which is really hot. But of course, here in Pennsylvania, I don't have the benefit of a fresh Scotch bonnet. So the citrusy flavor of the really hot habanero is a great substitution. I'm just going to stir all of these together in the bowl. Doesn't have to be completely stirred, but a nice little rough stir. And now it's time to mix all of our curry together. Stirring the curry together couldn't be easier. And you can actually prep all of your ingredients the night before as long as you keep them separately and don't mix them together. And I'll tell you why at the end. I've got a big green bell pepper that I've cut into little strips. That's 1 big green pepper. I've got 1 really big red bell pepper that's cut into strips. A bunch of onion onions, and you don't want to slice them too thin. You want them to still have a little bit of crisp texture when this cooks. So I've cut them about 1/4 inch thick. I've got a cup of cilantro leaves and 1 14-ounce can of diced tomatoes, not stewed tomatoes, just plain diced tomatoes. I'm going to take a pair of just ordinary salad servers, and I'm going to toss this just like a salad. I told you this was going to look like summer. It already does. And once this is tossed together, we're adding that spice blend. And as I was telling Andrew, the cameraman, the spice blend, the Jamaican curry seasoning, contains turmeric, and that will stain your clothes. So you want to be a little bit careful when you're dealing with curry powders that contain turmeric. Now it's time to add our shrimp. I've got 2 pounds of large or extra large. I just know this is going to turn out to be one of your favorite curry dishes. And now it's time for our coconut milk. And I have 1.5 cans of coconut milk. You can limit it to 1 can, but I kind of like my curry to be a little bit creamier, so I've got 1.5 cans. Yummy. All of this tossed in. And this is why I said you can prep all of your ingredients the night before, but don't mix them together. I'm going to let this sit so that the flavors marry for about 5 to 15 minutes. 30 minutes is still okay too, but if you let it go any longer than that, the acids are going to start to cook and toughen your shrimp, and you really don't want that. So we're just going to let this sit for about 5 or 10 minutes, then we're going to move over to the stovetop and get started. This is going to cook kind of fast and furious. You're going to see in a minute why we made our rice first. I'm going to spoon all of this curry mixture into the pan. I have about 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil in the bottom. I use 2 spoons to do this. It's kind of a cross between a stir fry and a saute. And I am going to cook this over medium-high heat for 5 to 6 minutes, and I'm going to stir it almost constantly. It's been about 2 minutes, and my shrimp are just starting. You can see they're firming up and showing signs of turning pink. That means we're about 1/3 of the way done. So I'm just going to keep stirring for another 2 minutes. This has been exactly 6 minutes. My shrimp are beautifully cooked. You can see how plump and juicy and tender they are, and they're pink. And look at that sauce, thick. We've got perfectly cooked shrimp and perfectly cooked sauce. Now it's time to turn off the heat. And I'm going to cover the pan and let it sit for just a minute or two. Once again, just to give all of those wonderful flavors just a little bit of time to marry. And then it's time to eat. When it comes to really quick and super delicious weeknight meals, this is one that's on the top of my list. And if you're thinking that a shrimp dinner is going to break the budget, consider this. A 2-pound bag of shrimp costs less than $25, and this meal easily feeds 6 people. Think about that the next time you're considering a trip to the drive-thru. As they say in Jamaica, don't worry, be happy. For these and all of my recipes, just go to my website.